hear me out.
Okay.
I know that you don't think that you are capable of sharing the gospel with others, or maybe even you feel like you're too broken to share the gospel with others, but I am still able to use you no matter the situation.
Hear him out. I barely know him.
Hi.
Hello.
This is the Hear 'Em Out podcast. I'm your host, Izzy. I haven't done this in like a month. So it's been a month, I think, since I recorded an episode. So it's like, whoa. I'm your host, Izzy. This is my friend, Sean. And this is John Luke.
I'm the co-host now, I guess.
Wait. Your props.
Yes.
Do you have them?
I do.
Are you going to bring them out?
Yeah, sure. So I want everybody to know here and everybody listening and watching, Jesus is in the room. Jesus is very much in the room. And I felt it would be most appropriate if we included Jesus here in this room, next to us and between us, whatever. Our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Wait,
this is the most important one.
This is our best guest.
Huh? Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
1,000%.
He's actually.
There's
more?
Yes. So I feel like I kind of wanted to do like a special entrance on the way in here, like for the podcast, because like at this point in time, what is today? June 15th, 16th.
July 15th.
July 15th. I'm a whole month off. At this point in time, I am the most listened to guest on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so I felt like it would be just most appropriate if I just crowned Prince on this podcast. It was very, very appropriate. But because I do not want to disrespect my new friend who's gone to Kura with me, and only the real friends come to Kura with me.
Yes.
I felt it would be only appropriate if Sean also had one.
Thank you.
That's
I wasn't expecting it to be this heavy.
Is it real gold?
No, I think it's just metal. It was like $17 on Amazon.
This is
but of course,
like
yes, you can readjust it if you need to.
Let me see.
Wow.
Yeah, go for it.
Wow.
While Sean is readjusting that, we also have like our fearless host here at this point. And I felt like it would be I felt it would be most appropriate if we just like included something that would just like exemplify Izzy the most. Like this remind. I just felt it would be very appropriate if we had this. What is this, Star Wars?
That's the one that David got Andre. Right?
Yeah, at Andre's party. So this is, I felt this like closely resembled you, and I just like really wanted you to, yeah. And we will be dressed like this for the remainder of the podcast. Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Oh, this is happening live. This is great. Anyways, you must not take that off.
Can you even see?
No.
She can't even see.
I'm like looking through my nostrils right now. I don't know if it can hear me.
Yeah, I don't even.
It's fine.
Do you think it can hear me? How do I look, guys?
Yeah, hideous as ever.
Do you think I'll get a boyfriend from this?
I think you stand a better chance now than you did.
Yes. Let's go.
I'm totally.
There's literally holes in the side.
So funny.
There's like holes in the side for the ear.
Wait, what?
I said there's holes on the side like for your ears.
I
You see
guess.
that?
I don't have a crown for you. I'm sorry. This is all we have. But we do have.
We have Jesus.
We have Jesus.
Wait, you don't give him a crown.
He doesn't need one, does he? Like he's
King Jesus.
Like he's just king.
That's fair.
We're not kings.
We're children of the king.
Children, princes.
I
wonder if now I really can't hear anything. Or it's like kind of.
You don't have to keep that on.
I mean, it's kind of funny. I thought about actually bringing the Shrek mask that I have and just wearing that. But I didn't know if it would like.
You should use that, like a selfie of that as your thumbnail for the episode.
I'll just use that selfie we just took as like the. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like if you wear this, I can't take you serious.
What are you talking about? Looks just like me. I'm just wearing a mask in my face. I don't know what you're talking about.
I felt that, at this point in the season, it would be most appropriate that we start to upgrade a little bit in our theatrical productions here, while also, glorifying the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So yeah, I thought this would be fun, and I hope everybody enjoys. Back to you, champ.
Well, thank you so much, John Luke, for that was such a great introduction. And he told me the other day, he was like, "Oh, I got to order the props," and I was like, "The props?" Like, I was like, "I just asked you to be like the co-host just for this episode, like not the forever co-host, just FYI." No, not the forever co-host, but because I usually ask like another person to just join, and I was like, "Oh, John Luke would be fun," like because you also like knew Sean a little bit, and so out of everybody in the friend group, I was like, "Who could I ask?" And then you were like, "Oh yeah, I'll do it." And then when you were like, "Oh, I got props," I was like, "Wow, you're going like above and beyond for co-host." So thank you, I appreciate it. And you also let us film in your house because I was like, "Can we film in your house instead of mine?"
Oh, and it is officially my house at this point.
Yes. Well, his and Andre's.
Yeah.
But if you're on YouTube and you see the sign in the background, that I made that for Andre, the other roommate. He was also on the podcast. His birthday was like 2 months ago. 2 months ago. And so we did a Star Wars themed birthday party for him. Anyway, back to our guest and that whole introduction to the podcast. You can wear your crown.
Okay.
Don't disrespect him like that. He got you a crown and you're not going to wear it.
Welcome, Sean.
Welcome, Sean.
Thank you. Thank you, Izzy, for having me on.
Sean. Yes, of course, Sean. So Sean is one of my biggest fans for about a day, and then and then he didn't listen to any more episodes. He called me after like the first couple episodes released, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so good!" And you like post on your Instagram and stuff. And then I saw you again in Dallas because you moved to Dallas for the summer, and then I saw each other, and you were like, "Oh yeah, I haven't listened to any of the episodes since, pretty much." So
I did not say that.
Yeah. So
I did not say that.
Sean.
Let me. Yes. So I originally heard you posted this on your story. I think when was it, like December or
November.
Something?
Yeah.
So I remember you like doing this because I listened to your first episode like on my way back from the fall semester to like driving home because I remember I was leaving campus and I was like, "Oh, I need something to listen to," and your podcast had just come out, and so I'd listened to like the first few episodes. But I was like, "This is really cool, like idea." And I think I actually listened to John Luke's yesterday, so I did.
Nice.
I caught up.
Prepared.
I'm prepared.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now you're really getting up there. Yeah.
But
Yeah, 'cause Troy was listening to
you
yours
mentioned
too, so, yeah.
you mentioned how you liked the idea of like her doing this, and you're like, it's specifically to Dallas, which I didn't understand. But I think it's really cool to hear specifically from like young adults or people like specifically in our generation.
There are people not young adults that are going to be on the podcast too. We're having some non-young adults on the podcast.
Okay, yeah.
Adults on the podcast.
But I think the main audience
But
is
yes,
for
main
like,
audience, young adults. Yeah.
Gen
Continue.
Z. Yeah. So like the fact that I can hear other people around my age talk about their faith and their testimony was just really encouraging. And yeah.
And then I've never listened again.
No, I listened. I caught up. So
once I held a gun to his head, he started listening more.
No.
So
Bad timing.
yeah. But I still asked him regardless to be on the podcast.
Yes. I was actually, it's funny because I think I was listening to like an episode of like maybe a month ago. And I was like, what if Izzy approached me and asked me like, what would I say? What would I, not like if I would be on the podcast or not, but like the question, how God has heard, how I have heard God speak in my life. And I was really contemplating that for a while. Like how have I heard him in my life? And so,
can we do a little intro first before we jump into that? Because I do want to get into that. That's the point of having on. But I want to intro you. Wow, can't talk. I want to tell people how I know you.
Yes.
So he went to goes to LeTourneau University in Longview, Texas, East Texas. Shout out.
Shout out LeTourneau. All you LeTourneau people.
All you Hornets? Are they the Hornets?
Yellow Jackets.
Yellow Jackets. Close enough. Same thing. They're both bees. Bees. Yeah.
Sting them.
Yeah. Is that your thing?
Yeah.
That's so sad.
It's okay.
Anyway, and so my younger brother Tucker, who's been on the podcast before, he's younger, but he's like a foot taller than me. Anyway,
It was his birthday yesterday.
and it was his birthday yesterday, so now he's not a teenager anymore.
20.
None of us are teenagers anymore, which is crazy. But yeah, Tucker and him were roommates, and they were roommates. And that's how I met Sean. So when I went to go move Tucker in, I think is when I officially met you.
Yeah.
I met your whole family,
Yeah,
I think.
you met my
'cause they were
family.
there.
Yeah.
Love your mom. I mean, your whole family, sure, but shout out your mom if you're listening.
Yes.
I like you, Sean. Love you, Sean's mom.
Hi, Mom.
But yeah, and then I just came to visit probably every couple weeks. I'd come to visit the gang.
Yeah, I feel like you came a lot like that fall semester.
Yeah,
Like,
and
at least
then
once a month.
because Tucker was there for a year,
Yeah.
and then he had to transfer. So sad. Because even when Tucker transferred, because he left and did a gap semester,
Right.
but he still came back to visit a little bit. Like he came back in August to visit because I think he drove with somebody.
Yes.
Because he drove Drew
Yes.
from Pennsylvania to Texas.
Yeah,
and then-
he's been back every single
So he's
semester.
been back. Yeah, except for this one.
Does you mean the fall semester?
I
He
guess-
came in the spring.
Well, yeah, I guess the fall. He did come in the beginning of the spring semester.
Yeah.
But I guess in the fall, he's probably not going to make it
Probably
anymore.
not, yeah.
But anyway, so that is how I know him. Do you have any fun stories you'd like to tell about our friendship history?
Between
Just the
like,
gang. I mean, it could be.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not really any like between me
I
and
feel
you
like-
specifically.
Yeah.
But like just fun memories from like when I came to visit and stuff.
You know, for those of you that don't know, Longview, Texas is a very small town. So like there's basically nothing to do except go to Whataburger and
Or Chick-fil-A.
yeah.
Or-
but we played a lot of Secret Hitler,
A lot of Secret Hitler.
a lot of Coup.
Yep.
We also, I feel like
Are you a good fascist?
I am, yeah. We,
9.
Nobody takes that.
Yeah. Actually, I'm just gonna take that clip
Yeah.
specifically. That's gonna be the beginning part of like, are you a good fascist? Yeah, I am. Yes.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I feel like were you there for
that's the thing. It's like, were you there for this? Were you there for that? Continue.
we also, I mean, I feel like the big thing we did that was kind of fun that you're a part of is like the music videos with Tyler
Yes.
and
Yes.
the rap.
Yeah.
the
But you
rapping.
weren't actually there for any of the ones that I was there with.
No, you just filmed like one video that I was there with.
Were you there for Tucker's?
I wasn't there for his, no.
I don't think I've been there for any of the other ones then.
I mean, we've recorded, like I said, we recorded some.
Oh, that's
Mine's
fair.
recorded. I don't know if you
Yeah.
heard it. It's
Kyler did send it to me.
He did?
So I listened
Okay,
to it.
okay.
It's good. He was like, I don't know why he picked
I
the hardest
haven't-
book, but
that was
yeah.
that was really hard. That was a hard book. So,
So
for those of you who
explain
don't
it.
know, Kyler, my friend, had this idea of rapping Dr. Seuss books to
Kyler's
like,
an interesting Kyler's just an interesting character.
rapping Dr. Seuss books to like rap songs, like the
Like
beat.
royalty free like rap music, basically.
Yeah. And so he would check out like so many books from the Longview Public Library, and he would
All Dr. Seuss books.
yeah, all Dr. Seuss books.
This
And
like 20-year-old kid coming in buying all the Dr. Seuss books.
he would rent them from the library and like give them out to people. And I don't know how many you've done so far, but like
I think I've edited like 3 or 4 videos for them.
yeah, he wants to make an entire album. So
Mhm.
with every single song and music video.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I haven't done him.
Dr. Seuss book?
Yeah.
I have a couple I'll show you afterwards.
yeah.
I was there the first time they did it because Tucker's was the
Yes.
first that they did.
Tucker's was the
Like that they
first.
officially recorded.
It was in front of Spear Chapel. In
Yeah.
front of our
but in front of like the chapel and like so I helped like film it and so then they were like so then they filmed it and everything and they were like, well, who's gonna edit it? And it was like the beginning of the semester. At this point I didn't really have a job. And so I was like, I mean, I can do it. Like I'm not really doing much. Like I know how to edit now because of the podcast and stuff, and like I know how to like make videos. So I was like, I could edit it. Like it won't be amazing, but like it'll be something. And so they were like, yeah, sure, give it a try. Like since they were all so busy, like about to be so busy that they were
Yeah.
like, well, we're not gonna have time to do it. So then I made the first one. They were like, this is great. So then Kyler just keeps sending me videos now. And so now I'm their video editor.
Yeah.
For the music videos, which is great. I like it. It's fun.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I'm trying to think of other, like, that's the tough thing. Cause it's like everything we did was like in groups, but it was like always different people.
And I feel like we were always on campus too. Like, we didn't
Yeah.
really go out much.
So I'm like, what were you a part of? What were you not
There
a part of? But we just played, a lot of Secret Hitler, a lot of Coup,
Yeah.
just a lot of random things. You were
Yeah.
there when we tried to go. No, you were. Yeah, when we tried to go to the trampoline park.
Yes.
Okay.
We tried to go. I don't. That was probably. I think that was Kyler's idea as well.
Yes.
It was like this random Saturday, and Izzy was there, and we were like, Kyler's like, let's go to a trampoline park, and
I don't think I really wanted to
actually,
go.
I remember there being
but-
like quite a decent amount of people.
There was, like,
that went
2 or 3 cars full.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we show up, and this trampoline park's like on the other side of town,
Mhm.
and we walk in,
Which is like 10 minutes because it's a small town. So
Right.
You make it seem like it's like an hour away.
Well, it wasn't an hour.
like
no,
it
no,
was
no.
probably 10 minutes. It wasn't very far.
But we walk in, and we just like see a ton of like 5 and 6-year-olds jumping on the trampoline, and like obviously like
it was like
there's
rented
probably
out by like
a birthday party
birthday
going on
party.
or something,
and-
and like the people at the front desk just look at us like
A bunch of college students walking
college students wanting to jump on the trampoline, and I'm immediately like, no, I'm not.
Yeah, we
gonna,
all were like,
jump.
okay, never mind. So
I'm not gonna jump.
I think we just
with
went back to campus
kids.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just a lot of fun, random, like, I don't know. It's just,
Yeah.
but I also like, I feel like you guys did so much when I wasn't there, but like that I'd hear about it. Like I remember there was one night, I don't think Tucker was there. Like I think Tucker had already left. I think this was maybe last fall semester. You and Kyler called me at like 11:30 p.m. I don't know why. I think this was like around the time of the podcast because I think you were talking about the podcast.
Oh yes.
But Kyler
yeah.
calls at like 11:30. I was like, why is Kyler calling me? But I was like, maybe it's important. I don't know. I'll answer it. And
Yes.
you guys just talked to me for like an hour, and you're just like, let's tell Izzy all the tea that's happened this semester,
I don't
basically. So
even
you guys
remember
just
what we
like
said, but
you're
I
talking
remember
about like
that
all the
conversation.
dating tea. You're talking about just like all the like drama and just like, but then you're also talking about the podcast. Like it was just like an hour and a half.
Yeah, because
or,
I
like,
think
an
I told
hour.
Kyler, I was like, Izzy has a podcast now. 'Cause
Yes.
He doesn't have Instagram, so I was like, yeah, she's been doing this. And he's like, what? And he like literally grabs his phone and like calls you. And then, like,
11:30 p.m. And
yeah,
I was
we
like,
were just
okay.
like chilling in his room, and yeah.
Yeah. And then you guys just like, you were like, well, since we have you here, we're just going to tell you everything about our semester. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
sounds good. So it was fun. But Kyler's an interesting fellow. Sometimes I'll just get random texts from him like, hey, worship night in 30 minutes. Be there, be square. I'm like, I'm 2 hours away. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
All the group chats are.
It's not a group chat. Like he
No,
will
he
just
just
text me
texts her.
separately. But then Tucker's like, yeah, he texts
Specifically.
me the same things. Like, because Tucker will be like in Pennsylvania, and
Right.
Kyler will text him like, hey, we're having a worship tonight if you want to join. like,
I didn't know that. That's funny.
so it's funny.
Yeah.
But
Good.
he's a funny character. And then one time I was at work, and I was
he
at
went and
the
visited you.
I was at the country club, and he texts me, and he's like, what are you doing right now? And I was like, oh, I'm at work. And he was like, can you send me the address? And I was like, okay. So he lives in Oklahoma. So he was driving from Longview to Oklahoma, and you have to pass through Dallas
Yeah.
to like get there. And so he was like, yeah, I'm passing through. I'm going to be there in 30 minutes. And I was like, okay, see you in 30 minutes, like out of the blue, random. I was like, okay, sounds good. So then he just showed up at work and was there for about 20 minutes and then left. And I was like, okay, bye.
Yes.
So, but it's a fun group. You all have a fun
Yeah.
little group. You're all like my
They're
little
fun.
brothers.
Yes.
So it's fun.
It's weird because like when I think about like that first year of Laterno, I think specifically of like those people in the dorm building I was living with, and how like different, not like it hasn't changed, like I'm still friends with them and still close with them, but like just how many more friends I've gotten,
Mhm.
and how that has changed now living in KZX and like having
He's in the frat house.
living in community with like other brothers, and yeah, so it's continuing like every single semester. I'm like, there's no way that I'm gonna be like caught off guard by like meeting new people or whatever. Like I feel like I've already made my core group of friends already,
Yeah.
but then every single semester it feels like someone else is I
Yeah.
meet someone new and we click or something like so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you go to a small school. Laterno's very
yeah,
small.
it's very like
So-
the student population on campus is like
2,000?
no less. It's like 1,300.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
1,400.
It's very, very small.
It's very small. Yeah.
So do they do like graduations like separated by colleges?
Yes. Yeah. But they only have one graduation per. Like they only have a spring graduation, not a fall
A
graduation.
single ceremony?
There's 2 ceremonies, but they split them up into their schools. But it's also graduation across like on like other like master degrees and like other programs that are not in person at Laterno, if that makes sense.
So there's like around a little over 400 people per graduating class, it sounds like.
Probably.
It's pretty small.
Wow.
Well, is that
My
I'm not-
high school, like our graduating class is 500, 600, and Prosper High School is like 1,000.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's interesting. That is so interesting.
is that
Yeah.
including like people getting their masters?
Yes.
Like the 1,300 includes master's degrees
you mean on campus?
on campus?
No,
oh, they
no.
don't live on campus. I
No,
guess.
masters. Yeah, other like
On
degrees,
campus
like,
living is
or
1,300.
if they're doing a degree online or something.
Okay.
No,
Gotcha.
and other smaller, I guess, majors. But
Gotcha.
Interesting.
yeah, the biggest majors are like aviation and engineering, since that's what Laterno is known for.
Gotcha.
So,
Well,
yeah.
anyway, should we get into the question at hand?
Yeah.
Okay. So the question I ask everybody is, when is a time in your life? When is a time in your life that you feel like the Lord has asked you to hear him out about something?
Yeah. After thinking about this a while, I think there's a lot of times in my life where I can point to where the Lord has like kind of a sort of, I guess, come to Jesus moment of like, the Lord has shown me something that I needed to hear or see in a certain situation in my life over the years, especially as I've grown as a Christian. But I feel like the most recent that hit me the most was this spring semester when I was on a mission trip called Beach Reach. And I think you've probably heard about it from Tucker.
Tucker did go. Not to this
but
one, though.
Not to this
Did
year.
y'all went the same time last year, though?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yes, Beach Reach is a mission trip that Laterno takes. They partner with like Texas BSM, and there's a bunch of schools from like around Texas who their BSMs go to South Padre Island for spring break week, and they basically the main thing is that they give out rides to the partiers on the island. So they make sure that kind of just to keep the island safe and to also spread the gospel. So yes, and so my first time I went was last year with Tucker, and that was an amazing experience. That I had heard a lot about it from other friends who had gone before in the past, but experiencing it for myself was like was wild. Like it's really cool seeing prayers answered, seeing just conversations like people, who are broken come and share the gospel with them. And so
when you say prayers answered, can you give an example of like a prayer you saw
there's
answered?
too many. I feel like there's way too many. Like just simple things like, if someone is struggling, like, let me give an example. One of my friends was like, I'm just struggling because I want, to have specific conversations with a certain type of people, or like someone who they can relate to maybe. And then like 2 car rides later, like they'll have someone who they immediately click with, and then like can share the gospel really effectively. So like things like that, small things.
That's
are just,
cool.
Things like where, the Lord providing situations where, there's just so many things I could think of, but when you really see, like, especially throughout that week, they have the specific church that host Beach Reach. They have their sanctuary. They turn their sanctuary into a prayer room,
Cool.
and so you have like the entire sanctuary is filled with. If you're not giving rides throughout the night, then you're in the prayer room, or there's other things, but you can be in the prayer room. And in that prayer room, they have things you can pray for, and they have worship music going on. They also have like a live Twitter feed of like things that people can be praying for. So you'll have someone on the vans that, has access to a Twitter account, and then they'll like have a hashtag that shows up on that feed. So they're like, just picked up a party of 3. Hopefully we can share the gospel with these people. So like there's actually like a live Twitter feed that you can be,
because there's a lot of different schools that go, right?
Yes, there's I don't know how many, like thousands of, maybe no, like I want to say maybe close to 1,000, maybe 900 or 1,000 like beach reachers there, like with vans and stuff.
Oh wow.
And so there's a ton of other schools there. But yeah, so going into this year, coming already having that previous experience, I was like, I'll do it again, because not out of like reluctancy, but just like I really enjoyed what I had done last year, and I want to participate in it again. And also this year, we are also going to have my own home church host, because we make the trip in 2 days. So we drive from Longview to Houston, and then spend the night in Houston, and then drive from Houston to South Padre.
Okay. And so your
and
church
my home
in Houston
church was going to host us, for that
cool.
night. So that was really exciting. And so I was really excited when I signed up, but then like a month, or maybe, the weeks leading up to it, I really wasn't really as pumped about going. I just felt very maybe like just, I wanted a break, I think, from school. And I was like, I just wish that I didn't sign up for this trip, because I could be home right now just like sleeping in, because beach reach is very tough. Like we work from like 9 p.m. to like 3 a.m. at night. So we get very little sleep throughout the week. And so I was just like, I just really like want a break. And so when it's funny, because I distinctly remember this, when we got to the church that Friday night. So we leave campus that Friday of spring, like before spring break. We drive to Houston, and we stop and spend the night there. And when I remember being in the room with everybody else. There's like a group of like 30 something of us. It's a big group from Laterno, and we were all like picking out band names. And I remember being there, like really almost like angry that I was going on this trip, because I remember thinking like, I don't want to be here right now. I could be doing, and I was at my church. I was like, my home's literally 30 minutes away. Like I could be at home, with my family, and my like sleeping in my bed. And I was really, at the beginning, I had really, I guess, like a hard heart towards going to the island. And so
Sorry, he's falling down.
So that was kind of my attitude going into the week, which was very rough for me, because going into a mission trip, I feel like you obviously want to have a heart that's like a posture that is prepared to like spread the gospel, and I definitely wasn't at that point. And there were also other things that were going on that we can talk about later, but I remember going and feeling that way for like the first few days, and thinking like, why am I here? Like, I don't want to be here. I remember like being really exhausted, but still doing the work, still doing it, trying to do it out of joy, but also really feeling like I don't,
like kind of half-heartedly, like I'm just going through the motions. I'm just doing it. Like I'm just doing it because I'm here.
And especially because I'd been before, so I already knew exactly what we were going to do. Like this time we're going to do this, and this time we're going to do this, and all the different jobs I already know how to do. So like, I don't really need, any training or anything. So I just went in with the mindset that was like, it's going to be the same thing as last year, which it was, but it also wasn't. And so during the week, there wasn't a specific moment where I was like, this is why I need to be here. Like, I feel like my first year, I had one specific conversation with a guy that definitely, like, I felt like the Spirit was like, this is why you're here, Sean, to have this one conversation, to share the gospel with this guy. And I remember that conversation, and I felt like that was the moment, because I remember last year I was praying, Lord, please show me why I'm here on this island. Show me what my role is on this island. And so I remember thinking, like, going back, like at that first year, it was that conversation at that time, eating pancakes and at 2 a.m., whatever, having that conversation with that one guy, even if, he didn't accept Christ in that moment. I think I can like plant a seed in his life, and hopefully once he went back to school, he can remember that conversation. And so, like, I don't think there was a specific moment where that happened to me this past year, but afterwards, I remember kind of the Lord was showing me a lot of things throughout that week, of just like remembering His goodness and His faithfulness, and kind of softening my heart throughout the week. And we actually, I remember, so we sang "Give Me Jesus," which is, this is
like the just give
yeah,
yeah.
We sang that song
It's
so
a
many
good
times.
song.
So here's a hot take, actually.
Ooh.
I don't like that version of that song.
What do you mean that version?
Because
There's different versions?
It's originally like a hymn. Like "Give Me Jesus" is like originally like a hymn. That's not the first version of that song. And so
were
I
you all
grew up
singing the hymn
listening.
version?
No, we're the Upper Room song.
Like the one
Yes.
the one that they play at Watermark.
Yes.
Okay.
You don't like the Upper Room version of the song?
I don't.
No! It's so good.
I just prefer like the original version of "Give Me Jesus."
I wonder
that's how
what the
I knew. That's how
original
I know
version
it.
is. It's like a
I
hymn.
don't know what it is.
We can listen to it afterwards.
Just
but
keep talking and I'm gonna look it up. We don't have to listen to it right now.
That was also another thing that I kind of was like, I don't really enjoy singing this song, but like thinking back, it was a lot of, I guess.
There's an unspoken version. Not that one. Like the band Unspoken. Jeremy Camp version? No.
I don't know.
Give me Shane and Shane.
Shane and Shane version might be like they have like
Because that's the hymns one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It might be that one.
We'll listen to it after.
But yeah, so I remember like it took a lot for me to I think just give up my bitterness, I think, or just like to give that to the Lord. And it wasn't until after that week that we give shout outs, and the entire group, like all 30, I forget how many there were, like 35 or 36 of us, that we give shout outs, and everybody can give shout outs, I think like 2 or 3 shout outs to everybody, and this lasts like 3 hours, like it's a long time.
Yeah.
And so
it's kind of like affirmations kind of thing.
Yeah,
like
and just like debriefing and like
yeah.
And so I remember, this is where it hit me, is Hannah, which is one of our group leaders, she gave me a shout out, and she had said something along the lines of like, Sean, I'm really glad that you went on this trip. I'm really it was really awesome to see how you worked this week, even in the little ways, even in the ways that people didn't see. I saw you and serving others. And she used this word steadfast.
Good word.
And yeah, she was like, you were really steadfast this week. And that like hit me really hard, because earlier, like 7 days earlier, I was like, I don't want to be here right now. Like this is something that I could be doing anything else but this. But
can I pause?
Yeah,
one
go ahead.
Super quick moment. I want to make sure I'm like fully wrapping my head around your story before anything else. What does steadfast mean? I think
let me look up a definition. I know what it is, but I'm gonna look up a definition. So basically, it just kind of means like it means like constant. But like, let me look up
there's
the definition to help you. Resolutely or dutifully firm and unwavering.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's just like very consistent, like you're unwavering, like you can be like steadfast in hope, steadfast in
I didn't want to seem like I was just
steadfast. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had a guy, this is sort of on topic, but I had a guy one time tell me like that I wasn't stubborn, I was steadfast. And I was like, okay.
Was that as like a compliment?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he was trying to compliment me, because I think I had said something of like, maybe I'm being too stubborn about this or something. And I was like, because my mom always calls me stubborn, right? And like I had a lot of people call me stubborn as a bad thing, of like, oh, you're just too stubborn. And so I think I said something about that. And he was like, no, you're not stubborn, you're steadfast. And I was like, good way to turn it around. I was like, nice. So I'm not stubborn, guys. I'm steadfast. So if anybody ever calls me stubborn, I'd be like, Anyway. I am stubborn. I'm 100% stubborn. Anyway, continue.
Yes.
So you were like, she was giving you the shout out.
Yeah, and shout out. And so she said steadfast was the word she used. And that really hit me because, like I said, I was really hard. Like my heart was really hard in the beginning of the week, and the fact that someone else saw, you know, me throughout the week serving others, even when I don't think any, like even when I just thought I was doing it on my own, I guess like there were other people that were watching, and that could attest to like how I guess many ways that I was serving when others, I guess, weren't really paying attention. And so, yeah, that's when. So I guess back to your question, like this is where the Lord
Was it like a gut punch?
asked me.
Was it like almost like a gut punch of like you've been like barely in it all week, and then like then she says this, and you're like, did you like feel bad almost?
No,
maybe not. I don't
not
know.
really. I
feel like I would have been like,
I just had a lot more to process, I think, and it took me a while, but that's when I feel like the Lord had said, "Hear me out."
Okay.
I know that you don't think that you are capable of sharing the gospel with others, or maybe even you feel like you're too broken to share the gospel with others, but I am still able to use you no matter the situation.
That's good.
Yeah.
Dang, that's good.
I'm able to use you even if you are maybe, stubborn or unwilling to.
Man, yeah.
As long as you praise me and glorify me, like that's what it's all about. And that's what Beach Reach is all about, is sharing the gospel, because like the people that are doing the rides, are giving the rides, we're not perfect people. Like we don't have it all together. We give this message of hope to others in, the partiers who feel like, they may not know why at the beginning of the week, they, ask us, oh, what are y'all about? Like, what are y'all really like doing here? And we tell them like, we want to give y'all safe rides, but obviously we also want to give you this message of hope, and good news. And, so yeah, I think that really thinking about that and hearing that, I think was really powerful, because a lot of times I think I struggle with just identity issues of like thinking, I'm not good enough to share the gospel, or I'm not a good Christian, or like things that I think the enemy tries to distract us with. And so, yeah, hearing that this past spring was really powerful for me.
Yeah,
So,
that's awesome. And just, kind of what you were saying too, of just how the enemy like will distract you and everything. And even just like when you were saying earlier of like, I just had all these thoughts of like, I just didn't want to do it. And like, I'm so close to home and I just don't want to be here. And it's like,
all the doubt.
Yes, all the doubt, and just frustration almost, and just kind of like, maybe not frustration, but just kind of, frustration of just like, well, I could be doing anything else. I could like, and just kind of the desire to like be anywhere else, but like where the Lord has you.
Right. And exactly, because I thought that since I'd been before, that the Lord was going to kind of move the same way that he did last year, which was completely like not true. Like,
like he wanted to do something new.
Yes. And he's going to continue to like show me new things, even if I continue to go. Like it's not going to be the same. The ways we present the gospel may be like similar every year, but
there's gonna be new people, new experiences.
He's going to show us new experiences every single time. And whatever situation we're at in our lives at that time, he's gonna show us what we need to hear. So
doesn't he love to do that? Like when you're like literally going through something and then like everything is like pointing to it or something, or just like teaching you something.
And so, and I had mentioned this earlier, but even before I wanted to add this as well. Before Beach Reach, the week before, I was actually fasting.
Right. Yes.
For different reasons.
Are you going to get into those reasons or no?
I can, yeah.
Okay.
It was specifically for what my summer plans were going to be. Like
summer plans.
Yes,
like this summer. Yeah.
What I was going to do specifically for work.
Spoiler alert, he came to Dallas.
Because I was getting really anxious and really anxious about what was going to happen. And it was already, I guess, like February or March when this was happening, and I had no clue. And so I was applying to a bunch of positions. They're called REUs, which is what I'm doing right now. It's like an internship at a school where you can conduct research in your specific field. So because I study chemistry, like there's a bunch of different chemistry REUs across the nation that different schools do. And so I was applying to those, but I honestly went in with the mind of like, I'm not going to get these. Like these are for people that are, 4.0 GPA. Like I feel like I didn't have anything that kind of stood out.
Just there Satan goes again.
Yeah.
Just beating you up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I need to like, I think I want to fast. So I did for a few days, and it's funny. I was fasting, and while I was doing that, there was actually other things that the Lord was like trying to teach me, specifically about Gabby. And I don't even know if she knows this, but
give context for who Gabby is.
So Gabby's currently my girlfriend. She was someone, we've been friends for like 2 years, and we dated like last year, I think. We dated once before.
No, I think it was 2 years ago.
Yes, 2 years ago.
Yeah. How do I know this better than you?
Yeah.
How do I know my younger brother's roommate's dating history better than him?
And so we had dated
Hopefully
before,
Gabby doesn't watch this. Jeez, I'll take that out.
But we had dated before, and it didn't work out. And then, but the weird thing is like throughout the entire 2 years, we kept coming up in each other's lives. Like we were still like, even if we weren't talking every day, like the Lord still brought us together, like in each other's lives, every single like season of our life, these past 2 years, which obviously is providential. And at that time, she was actually going to come visit me the week after Beach Reach.
But y'all weren't dating at this point.
We weren't dating at this point, no. But
so why
we
was she coming to visit you?
We were still
Valid question. Valid question.
She, for context, is her job last semester was traveling around the country.
Right.
And she was like, I'm driving along I-20 like to Dallas.
Okay,
and she was coming like from the east along I-20.
Okay.
And Longview's smack dab in the middle on I-20. Yeah. And so she was like, do you mind if like we stop by and she was with a
hang
group, out? Right? She was with her group. Yeah, she was with her team. So it wasn't like she was coming by.
Because y'all are kind of friends at this point.
Yes,
like,
we're still friends. Yes.
Okay.
And so she had told me that, and so throughout that week, I feel like the Lord kept bringing her into my mind while I was praying, and I was
like while you were fasting.
Yes,
the week you were fasting,
and I was like, this is not what I'm praying for right now.
Yeah.
And so
I don't want to be thinking about this. Yeah.
And so it doesn't really like, Beach Reach happens. The Lord shows me things that week. And then the next week, no, it was actually that same week I was fasting. I got a response from the REU from UT Dallas saying that I got accepted. And that was literally an answered prayer for what I was fasting for.
That was while you were fasting? You got that?
I think it was the week after I was fasting.
Week after you were fasting. Yeah. Okay. And had you been accepted anywhere else?
No, it was just that place.
Okay, just that one. Okay.
Yeah, and it was, and I remember I was in the lab, I think, and I got an email and I saw the heading. It was like UT Dallas, like RU application or whatever. And I stopped what I was doing and I went away by myself and I opened it up and I saw I got accepted and I was like, this is insane. I just felt like this is literally an answered prayer for what I was praying for.
Yeah.
And then I remember calling my parents and telling everybody, and it was really cool to see that. And then at the same time, seeing kind of the Lord still was working between me and Gabby, and that would come later. But seeing that was also kind of along the same lines of feeling inadequate, I think, to do things that or going in with an attitude of being inadequate, and then seeing him answer that prayer. So yeah, it was crazy.
Do you feel because just want to make sure I'm kind of understanding and hearing. So kind of throughout the theme of kind of all of these things, with Gabby, with the internship, with Beach Reach, you were just feeling really inadequate.
Yeah.
And so
I'd say
like
that's a good way to
just
put
in
it.
every different area, and just feeling like, you know, Satan was just attacking you in that way,
Yeah.
making you feel inadequate.
Yeah.
And, you know, just like feeding your head with lies, probably,
Yeah.
of just like, you're not good enough. You wouldn't be good at that. You wouldn't be good at this.
Yeah.
You're not going to get into this school because you're not smart enough. You shouldn't be dating her because you're not good enough, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. That's,
And then just seeing the Lord speak truth
Yeah.
to you, and
Yeah.
like seeing the Lord kind of show you like, no, you are like I like just showing you the truth through
Mhm.
different things. And
Yeah.
even just through that acceptance of UTD, of like, no, you are good enough. See,
Yeah.
like you are, like, you're my son. Like
yeah.
it's like, stop listening to these lies,
Yeah.
you know? And then like at Beach Reach, of like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm going to use you regardless, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
And like, you're not
Because-
too inadequate for me not to be able to use you. And,
Yeah.
you know, with the relationship with Gabby, it's like, I'm not like, you're not too far gone, or you're not like too inadequate to like be a good boyfriend, like be in a healthy relationship, you know?
Right.
So.
And you know, that's the whole story of the Bible, is God using
Mhm.
inadequate people for
Yep.
literally
Yeah.
everything, you know?
Yeah.
And using that for his glory, turning that for his glory, not for them, not to puff themselves up, but to glorify him in everything that they do.
Yeah.
And so that's my mindset continually, is more just trying to remember, like, the work that I'm doing here, you know, what I'm doing in school, or even the summer, like, it's not for my sake, it's for the Lord's glory. And the moment it becomes about me, it's for nothing, like it's just useless. And so that's something that I continually try to remind myself of, like trying to boast in the Lord for what he has done in my life.
Yeah. And yeah, can I add briefly first?
No.
You're the co-host. My podcast. Sorry, Jesus.
You're like, I have a mic.
Two things really quick. First off, it just like thinking that the verse that kind of comes to mind when you were talking about these things is just like how I don't know exactly where it is. I'm sorry. It's in the Bible somewhere, but talking about how like the Jesus like came to give us life, and like came to give us like life abundantly, so that we could like have it abundantly.
Right.
And like, but in that same verse, it says but the devil came to steal, kill, and destroy. And it's like everything that I hear of, just like when I hear people talking about like how they've had all these lies throughout their head, I've struggled so much with lies in my head. And that's something that the Lord's really been revealing to me, especially in this season right now. Of just like all these lies I've been believing. But it's like seeing how Satan does that in order to steal, kill, and destroy. And like, if you had like consistently, like these lies could have destroyed and like stolen like the life that the Lord had for you, and like the life in Dallas for the summer, and the relationship with Gabby, and even just like you continuing to go to Beach Reach. Like you could have, if you kept believing these might have been like, okay, well, I'm not going to go back next year, or I'm not going to like keep doing this, or like I'm just not going to evangelize people because I'm not good enough, or you know, like that's how Satan gets to us. And it's just, that's one thought that I had, and then I forgot the other thought, so I'll hand it over to you.
I slowly started to forget some of the things that I was going to say, but it's okay. It's totally fine. I was going to say, as a small form of encouragement, in the very small amount of time that I've known Sean, it's been a month and a half,
maybe
now,
a month,
since I've known you. And of the times that
we ate sushi, so that
we ate sushi, so we're like best friends.
Yeah.
Hurricane.
I was going to say, in the small amount of time that I've known you, I can see, and particularly in this podcast, like hearing a lot more about your story, I can see the work in Jesus, like just like beaming through your soul.
Yeah.
And it's very encouraging, because like I will occasionally struggle with that feeling of inadequacy, and especially like with such godly community around me, I'm like, I mean, I don't typically think of myself as like the most biblically knowledgeable, or maybe even sometimes spiritually mature person, but like being surrounded by godly community, and like God blessing us like through godly community, through scripture, through experiences, and all through that, like it's very encouraging to see that through you.
Yeah.
And like now I'm just thinking like, wow, I didn't know that you had a girlfriend until now. Now I'm just thinking like, wow, what are his ways, man?
Like a guy talking.
I gotta figure this out. But yeah, no, it's very encouraging, and I hope that's encouraging to you in some way. Yeah.
Talking about the girlfriend thing real quick, and I'll just talk about it. But what I hear in his story too, and him and Gabby's story, and I know Gabby a little bit. We hung out like one time because she lives in Dallas, or her family lives in Dallas. So I was like right after I had met her, like 2 years ago, and so I think y'all were still dating at the time, like first dating. But like, and she's great, love her. Hey, shout out Gabby,
shout out Gabby.
and Abby. Y'all probably both listening to this. So hey, Gabby and Abby. But
Gabby and Abby are roommates.
Yeah,
they were roommates in college.
Gabby and Abby, and so Abby is friends with him. Church friends.
I've known Abby like for a long time.
Yeah, so that's how I met Gabby, through Abby.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, but just like his ways was God. Like, if you listen to that, it's like which I keep telling John Luke. We've had a lot of conversations about this, me and most of the boys in the friend group, but
wow.
And then when I say something that's accurate, one of them is usually just like, shut up, Izzy. Fine, or something like that,
It sucks that you're editing this podcast too.
Why?
Because I just don't want you to be right.
Y'all are so stubborn.
It's as I've been kind of saying, like the Lord speaks to us through people, and He often speaks to me through Izzy, especially when it comes to like this stuff. So yeah.
But yeah, just like it encouraged, just on the dating aspect of things, of this whole, it's just like y'all's story, and like obviously we don't know like where exactly it's going to end up to, because like y'all aren't married yet. So I'm just gonna say that. Hopefully you are, or not to put down on things or anything, but like just hearing y'all's dating story, and like it, like just hearing how the Lord did orchestrate it, and like how you kind of said, like we just kind of kept showing up in each other's lives, and like while you were fasting, the Lord like kept bringing her to your mind, and you were like, that's not what I'm fasting for, but God was like, yeah, but I want you to think about this and pray about this, and consider this again. And so, because at that point you probably hadn't really, like, what were your thoughts about Gabby and like getting back together with her and stuff, like before the fasting?
Before the fast,
like were you like, oh, I'm gonna get back with her?
No, that wasn't really. I just felt, I knew that semester we were getting a lot more closer, that we like before again. We were talking a lot more, and like I said, she had come visit me, and I was just like, I was confused, and so that's why I was, I was trying to, I guess, plan it out in my own head, like, okay, this is what's gonna happen, this is what's gonna happen, but obviously like the Lord is like, no, you don't have all the answers, literally. And she's still like, she's literally like 4,000, 30,000, she's in Brazil right now, so she's
so if she listens to this while in Brazil, I'll have a Brazil view, so
right.
I actually already have some Brazil views, guys.
Wow.
So I got some listeners in Brazil,
but just the fact that
Shout
like
out.
I tried to like think of, okay, this is how it's gonna work, especially because we don't go to the same school, she's out of college already, she's in a different city, and all these things, and so I was like, no, the Lord will provide, and it's
like you don't have to figure it all out, you don't have to have all the details figured out. So you feel like the fasting, like, and the Lord bringing her on your heart and mind during that time, like brought you more clarity about the situation, and kind of brought you more like peace about the situation.
Because I was like, I didn't have peace at the time, and I just felt like the Lord was like, I trust me, I know what, and so yeah.
That's cool. Did she visit you after or before the fasting?
It was after.
Okay. So then when she visited you, then did y'all like start talking, like not talking, but like give me a timeline for that.
Oh, it was,
I'm just very curious. I like all the things.
It was after the end of the semester that we had like this conversation.
Gotcha.
And then that's when I asked her to be my girlfriend, but then like it all happened so fast. Like it's crazy.
That's how he does it.
We could talk about it later, but it literally happened like within a few days.
Didn't your mom, like, didn't you call your mom or something? We were talking about this before, but like, didn't your mom call you, or you called your mom or something, and you were like talking to your mom about her, and your mom was just like, what are you doing? Like, your mom was just kind of like, which I love your mom, because I was like, that's exactly what I would say, but she was just kind of like, what are you doing? Like, why are you guys talking like this? And like, why are you doing, or like, it just kind of like called you out on it, and was just kind of like, hello.
Yeah.
Like, Gabby, like, didn't she
Yeah.
kind of say
Well,
something
it's
like
because also, yeah, my mom knows everything. It's funny
Mhm.
because she also was at the time, or still is, mentoring Gabby,
that?
and so she heard from like both of our
Mm,
sides.
so she was kind of like the
She was,
middleman. She was like, okay, I have to set this
she,
up. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
But
she
also
heard
just
both of
moms
us.
know these things, you know, and
Yeah,
just like they kind of have this
yeah.
sense
She
sometimes.
just and she has so much wisdom.
Mm.
And both her and my dad, like, if it weren't for them, like, I wouldn't be where I am today. So
Mm.
it's they're just
Yeah.
great people. So
Love them.
I have a question. And this is a little awkwardly placed, and I do apologize, but this is pertaining to your beach reach story, or I guess after the fact. I was just wondering, like, in the sounds like you, you said it was this last spring semester or the spring semester before.
this last spring
This
semester,
so a few months.
yeah, a few months
Okay.
ago.
Since then, has there been has the Lord taken that inadequacy like feeling, um, or not necessarily taken that, but like answered your prayer in any way
Hmm.
of being able to share the gospel effectively in any significant way, or even if it's not significant, has there been any like even any minor thing that you like have thought about in retrospect that's been like, oh, maybe that was my moment of planting the seed, if you will, and then like maybe I might have a small tiny story to share after your answer.
Right.
That's a good question.
That
Maybe
is
I
a good
will keep
question.
having him as on as co-host. Actually, he's just gonna take over the podcast. So.
Wow, that's a good question. Yeah,
And we do have to wrap it up slightly.
I don't.
Sure, yeah, that's fine.
Just FYI.
I think I'm trying to think. Um, I definitely do. I definitely do. I mean, there are times still that I struggle with inadequacy, obviously, and
Mhm.
even this summer, I still have struggled with that a lot. But going back to sharing the gospel, I think I find more kind of peace about that in certain situations. Specifically, I think how I live it, like how I live out the gospel, and how I should be not scared to show others. I think, or just being bold. I guess one thing that comes to mind is um, my roommate this semester, or not this semester, this summer, um, trying to trying to get him to um, come to church with me. I think, and also just having more conversations about the gospel with him, because he said he's Catholic, and he goes to a Catholic school and things like that. And I'm not sure where his faith is at, but he told me at the very beginning of the summer, like, he wanted to start reading the Bible more, and he wanted to start, I guess, taking his faith more seriously. Um, and so in that situation, yeah, I feel like it's been easier for me in some ways to kind of like ask him, hey, do you want to come to church, or like, you know, asking him how his um, Bible reading's going or stuff like that. So yeah.
Cool. Well, that's good.
Can
I
I
mean,
say something really quick?
small wins is what I wanted to
Oh,
say,
sorry.
but yeah, good for you.
Sorry. Yeah, small wins. That's really good. I just thought of the thing I was gonna say earlier, and so I was looking up, and it reminded me. But kind of in the inadequacy as well, just kind of like a Bible verse to like remind, and just like when you feel inadequate is just remembering that like God qualifies the called, not calls the qualified.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
in that as well, like in Second Corinthians, it talks about like his power is made perfect in your weakness.
Yeah.
And that's something that like I've been having to remind myself of a lot lately, of just like when I'm feeling really weak and just in different situations, like not even just feeling inadequate, but just feeling like, you know, just my emotions feel weak or whatever, or just feeling like I can't do this. Like this isn't, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And just reminding that like the Lord, like in those weak moments, like allowing, like not avoiding those moments,
Yeah.
so that you can see the Lord's power and like see him show up. Because I feel like there's been some things that it's just like, oh, I'll just avoid this. And like, that's how I'll, you know, I'll just avoid it completely. And then
Yeah.
just feeling like the Lord was like, no, I want you to step into this. And like, you to see me show up and like see my power be made perfect in your weakness. And so just like when you're feeling inadequate in all these situations, no matter what the situation is, listeners, whatever, like whatever situation might be, and it's like, oh, I feel inadequate, or I just feel like I can't do this. Like if the Lord's calling you to it, or if like it's something the Lord's putting on your heart, or if it's something that like that aligns with scripture and it's like something that the Lord's asking you to do, like he is going to qualify you. Like he is going to have his power be made perfect in your weakness.
Yeah.
And like that's, and then it's more of a testament to him.
To him, yeah.
Because it's
you
not,
can't do it on your own.
yeah, it's like if you had gotten into UTD or whatever, and it's
Right.
like you would have just like, if you had really good grades, like
Right.
not that you don't, but like if you had a 4.0, whatever, it's like, oh well, yeah, I got into these places because of my
because
grades.
of my because
Yeah,
of what I
or you know, whatever, like yeah, just any situation. It's like you would be placing your hope in, or placing your identity, placing like, or just taking credit for everything, you
Right.
know, and just not giving the Lord credit when it's like, I shouldn't have gotten in here. Like I shouldn't have gotten here. Like I'm here because of the Lord. Like
Right.
I shouldn't have the girl that I have because like, which every guy should think that. Okay, every guy should think that about their girlfriend. Okay, because you don't deserve her. No, I was kidding. But like genuinely, it's like, well, I shouldn't, like I don't deserve this, but
Right.
like, or I don't, like I couldn't have gotten this on my own strength, and like
Right.
I couldn't have gotten here, and I couldn't have said these things. Like
Right.
even when I'm evangelizing sometimes, like I am not, that's not my spiritual gift personally. And like I get nervous sometimes because I'm just like, what do I say? Like I have no idea what to say. I don't have all the voice verses memorized. I mean, I'm like constantly like, oh, it's in the Bible somewhere. Like I don't know where it is, you know, or whatever. But in those moments, just praying like, Lord, show up. Like I need to see your power here because
Mhm.
I feel so weak and I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And just like every time I just see the Lord work and move. And like even if
Yeah.
I'm not, like there will be words that come out of my mouth that I'm like, where did that come from? Like I'll just start like spitting off and I'll be like talking fast and I'm like, where is this coming from? Like
Yeah.
I did not know that this was in me, you know, but it's like the Holy Spirit in me. And so yeah, that's just what I want to say.
Great.
Are you salty or something? Like
No,
oh, okay.
I kind of forgot what I was going to say.
sorry.
I'm just a tad forgetful.
You had a story.
I do have a story. It's about my friend Aiden.
Oh yeah.
You have not met
Do you want
Aiden.
me to like bleep his name? Are you okay with talking about him?
Oh, I no.
Oh, okay.
I think it would be great if
Oh,
he
okay.
hears.
Sure.
I think it'd be great if he hears this on the podcast.
Okay, great.
Hi,
But
Aiden.
Hi, Aiden.
sub Aiden. He hasn't even heard my podcast yet. I'm a little salty.
I
I will get him to listen. But anyways, so yeah, with kind of circling back or continuing on with that feeling of inadequacy, like being that I'm sure many Christians still face that, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I fall victim to that plenty of times, and particularly like it was a lot more frequent in my life a few months ago, like maybe 6-7 months ago.
Yeah.
And ever since, the Lord has led me to Watermark Community Church, which has been such a tremendous blessing in my life. And to my group of 7 guys in my community group, me and 6 others. Shout out. One of the biggest questions. There are 3 questions, and I think you've started to learn about this in your CG. But one of the oh, great. Okay. Well, anyways, one of the 3 questions that they ask at Watermark Community Church that they kind of try to instill in our community groups is, how are you feeding others? So like there's, how are you feeding your soul? How are you feeding your flesh? And how are you feeding others? And
I
that,
feel like I think I might have heard that before, like in a
great.
sermon.
Talks about it a lot.
Okay.
I don't know. But it's kind of a popular
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. And so like that last question kind of has stuck out to me the most in these last couple months. And I feel the Lord has given me so much conviction to start sharing and start feeding others a
Right.
lot more, whether it is by setting as good of a Christian example as I'm able to, or by sharing the gospel in any way that I can. And this is where Aiden comes in. Aiden is a good friend of mine who's a non-believer, and he, growing up, we're not growing up, we've known each other like 6 years, but like when we would work at Taco Bell together, shout out Taco Bell. When we would work at Taco Bell together, he, from what I remember, like there was just some conversation and like kind of like we were butting heads about just like talking about Christianity, and like that he would say certain things about God and certain things about Christianity that I was just not that I was not fond of, and there was just a lot of back and forth. And at that time, I was just not like scripturally knowledgeable enough.
Yeah.
I was not as invested in the faith, but it would tick me off.
Yeah.
Our friendship grew, and I feel, from what I can see in our friendship and in his life currently, that he, in the time that I have been including God in our conversations a lot more, it seems like he is having a lot more God experiences, and it's a great blessing to see. And like, with that feeling of inadequacy, I could not have overcome that without, the help of the Lord.
Yeah.
By including this church in my life, by including community group in my life, and all these like great godly examples. And I, at this point in the podcast, I hope and pray that that Aiden will listen to this podcast and maybe draw closer to the Lord in any way, shape, or form. He is planning on, at this point, going to the porch tomorrow, and I'm excited about that. That is the hope. Oh, cross my fingers. And he is getting closer and closer to coming to launch. He hasn't committed quite yet.
I'm going to launch now too.
Oh, yay. Congratulations. Are you going to launch?
No, I have school on Labor Day.
Boo.
It's weird. Yeah.
I'm kidding. But yeah, I'm really encouraged by what the Lord has been, doing in my life to help plant the seed in Aiden's life, and of course, like doing the things in Aiden's life as well. So that's what I want to share.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
That's good. That's really good.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. Any final thoughts? We should probably wrap up.
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to like end it on something like? Usually it ends on like something deep.
I was like funny, like I don't.
Like something, I don't know. Just like what if you could like final like wrap up, like what do you want to say to the listeners?
Say to the listeners.
No, it's just like usually like ends and it kind of like fades out, goes into the
Yeah.
It's just you know.
I think for those of y'all that are listening, I hope that yes, you were encouraged by my story, but also that you are reminded that the Lord works in everybody's life, and he is faithful. He's good, and if you are not a Christian and you're listening to this, that you would hopefully come to know the gospel and come to know of his love and his kindness and how he can change your life. And yeah,
Jesus loves you.
Jesus loves you, like VeggieTales.
I mean, they say it in other things.
No, like
just say it in VeggieTales.
I mean, like, what does VeggieTales say? God, how does it? I can't remember it.
Loves you? No. Well, yeah, he does. God does love you. But...
I've seen it in a few people's like Instagram bios, and I think it's cool. It's like
that's not from VeggieTales.
I don't know.
That's just from a thing.
Anyways, yes, Jesus loves you.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Join me next week. My friends Kaylee and Kayla are on the podcast. We talk about a whole bunch of things. Kayla talks about work and different opportunities that she's had to share the gospel that she never thought she'd be doing. And Kaylee shares about just a whole bunch of things, including work and her love for singing and how the Lord really used that passion to show her a lot of things. It's a great episode, but until then, have a great week.